Hey guys, it's Alan, the Fireman 1028, and this morning we are going to take our new KTM 390 Enduro R, and we're going to ride to the office. So this is going to be a commute video. We're going to see, we got some interstate, we got some back roads. We're going to see how it does on the interstate. So as you can see, it's a gorgeous bike. You know, we got the Metzler Karoo 4 tires, so interesting to see how those do on the interstate. We are still in the break-in phase, so we're not going to go crazy with it, but we'll go through a normal, commuting scenario. This is a dual sport bike. A dual sport bike, you should be able to do a little bit of everything from, doing trails on Sunday to, commuting to the office on Monday with it. So we're going to do a little bit of everything with it. So let's throw on our gloves and let's go for a ride. All right, so here we go. 2025 KTM 390 Enduro. So it's 390, but it's actually like 389 point something or 388 point something. I don't know. So the horsepower is still the same from the previous model. I still love this dash. It's a really simple, really easy to see display. I notice as an engine breaks in, it gets a little bit easier as far as the low speed fueling goes. Now supposedly KTM and Bajaj in particular, they came out with a reflash for the 390 models. Now I have yet to get confirmation from my dealer whether, just use the turn signal, I mean that's simple, whether my unit had the updated fueling map installed, because the first ones were really had really poor fueling. So it's not terrible. It's better than what my 2022 390 was before we put the Fuel X on there. I already know that there's been some folks that have already proceeded with the Fuel X on these new models, and with some pretty good results. So it'd be interesting to see. But they have the same 44 horsepower that the previous model had. They did. Let's put the windscreen down here. They did increase the stroke by a couple millimeters, just for a little bit more down low torque. Hadn't really noticed that just yet, or make that, if that's pretty obvious that it's actually there. But it is what it is. It's not bad. I mean, if you're used to these motors here, you know that you got to rev them out. They have a really small flywheel. It's a perfectly adequate flywheel, but it's a very lightweight flywheel, so you don't get the rotational mass like you would on something like KLR 650, DR 650. Or even something like a CRF 300 motor. So really light flywheel. So the motor likes to be revved. So it's one of those when you're riding this thing off road, you got to kind of have that mindset of, hey, I need to keep this thing in the revs. Anything above a 4 to 6,000 is okay. 6 to 9 is kind of really where it likes to be, which is kind of odd when you're riding off road, but it is what it is. I do notice. Let's chug it down a little bit. Let's chug it down to 3,000 in 6th gear. Now that definitely feels better than what the old one did. The old bike at again before the Fuel X, 3,000 at 6,000, 3,000 RPM in 6th gear would have just would have just chugged all over the place, and would not have been happy. So this is definitely better fueling than what the old model was, again, before the Fuel X. After the Fuel X, man, it's perfect. Now we did the Fuel X Lite, which is just a closed loop system. I do need to talk to my friends at Cooper and see if they're going to come out with anything for this, and see if there's any magic we can run with this new bike. Now this is a Saturday morning, so the commute's not nearly as bad as what it would be on a Monday or a Friday or anything else. It's really Friday, actually. Friday in Charlotte's not bad. Charlotte's got a big downtown Charlotte's got a big banking community, And Fridays seem to be a ghost town when they come to work. So what we're going to do is our first stop is we're going to hit the gas station. We're going to hit the gas station and fill it up. Just like previous bikes, 93 is recommended. I don't know if it's required, but it's definitely recommended. And it's a small tank, so it's you're talking, next to nothing. So we're going to do our first fill up on the bike. I really like the way the bike feels as far as maneuverability and everything else. It feels very lightweight. Still getting used to this dash layout. It's just kind of a real simple dash layout. Let's pull right over here. I usually pull to this pump anyway, because if I got my carbureted bikes, we're getting non-ethanol fuel. Kickstand is a massive kickstand. Now we've yet to take it off road, but again, you see every time you kick the kickstand, it knocks down the passenger peg there. So let's get some fuel. Excuse me. Now the Enduro R, if I'm not mistaken, the fuel tank is only like 2 point something. It's a real small gas tank. Real nice engagement. Doesn't feel cheap. So it's going to be interesting to see that the gauge, and I'll show you on the dash here, it was showing empty, where it showed the gas range and it said 0, which I thought was kind of interesting. So let's see how much she takes. The answer's not much. Not much at all. Oh, she's full. Get a 501. Yeah, she's full. Okay. So we took 1.5 gallons. So, for a 2.5 gallon tank, good click right there. So let's hop back on the bike. Let's pull up our ready to race. We know. So let's go to. Okay, so our fuel still shows 0, and I don't know why. Let's go to info, trip 1, let's reset it, trip 2, that's fine, we'll leave it be, oil temp, battery, odometer. Look, we only got 19 miles on the bike, so we're early on, baby. What's our warning? Oh yeah, I know, okay. We're on street traction control, road, ABS. We're going to leave that, we're going to leave that as it is. Navigation's not an option. Call, not an option. So we're going to back out here. So it still shows 0. Let's throw our gloves on. But our fuel range shows 0, which is awfully odd. If you see that on the dash there. Let's crank the bike up and let's ride and let's see if that. So our fuel range still shows 0. Well, I'll start riding and see if that changes. That could be something as simple as a software, software issue that needs to be flashed, but I assume that's supposed to be fuel range. Interesting. Or fuel level. I don't know what that is. Very interesting. Maybe it's something after break-in, because right now I notice that the tachometer is red, And I don't think that's the normal, the normal thing. I think that's just like a break-in period where it's in the red, and it'll change once once we come out of break-in mode, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the red's not bad. So we're gonna hop on the interstate for the first time. Let's see how the 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R does. Again, we're in a bit of a construction zone right here. I'm wearing a Shoei GT Air helmet, so it's definitely not a peaked helmet, so it won't really get the the full effect, I don't think. But the GT Air, I mean, it's just a comfortable helmet. Plus, my chin mount fell off of my other helmet, so I'm kind of stuck with this one for right now. So 6 gear, 60 miles an hour. We're turning 50, just a little over 5,000 RPM. Definitely windy. There's no, there's nothing blocking the air. It is nice and clean air, so there's really no issues there. 70 miles an hour, 6 gear, you're turning, about 6,500 RPM. I don't see any reason why this bike couldn't do 100 miles an hour. Definitely do 80 miles an hour comfortably. So we're doing 75, and we're turning about 6,700 RPM. It's a naked bike, so I mean, of course, you're going to expect just to have the wind hitting you. Oh my gosh, that front end is very sketchy. That is a very light front end. Holy moly. That is a very, very light front end. I don't know if it's just the rake or the tires or what, but that front end is, I mean, this thing is, ooh, good Lord. That front end is very unstable. At 70 miles an hour. Now, we'll drop down to, it's not a busy morning, so let's drop down to 70. That is still awfully unstable. Let's drop down to 65. That front end is still, I mean, that is a very light front end. Holy moly. I can imagine hitting a big pothole, and this thing is going to be tank slapping like crazy. Wow, that's incredible. I think one of the first mods might be a steering stabilizer, which you can see. Like I said, I don't know if that's coming through, but look at that. I mean, that is a very, very, very light front end. Holy moly! And again, I know it's a dual sport, but still, you should be able to do 70 miles an hour comfortably on the interstate. And again, it's not doing it while I'm, just tracking normal. But I mean, with just a little bit of input, that front end gets very, very unstable. If anybody else has noticed that, please comment down below. We're here. I'm gonna look down. I'm gonna look to the front end and watch this. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, that's very little input. Look at that. You hit a bump and this front end's gonna go crazy. Wow. And that's not a lot of input either. I mean, that's just barely kind of wiggling on the bars. I mean, I know it's not an FJR 1300 or a R1200 RT, but I would expect that front end to be a little bit more stable than that. Wow. And I don't know if it's just because of the rake or the angle, but that's a very sketchy front end. See if our gas gauge. Nope, gas gauge has not changed. It's still sitting at 0. 0 on our gas gauge. Interesting. Let's see, just hitting those bumps right there. Just hitting those bumps, and that front end is all kinds of sketchy. Wow. I don't want to take a hand off the wheel. I was trying to put down my internal visor, and I had to. I couldn't wait to get my hand back on the bar. Holy crap! That front end is nervous. That's a really good word for it. Is nervous. That front end is just. And I'm going 75. I'm not trying to do 100 miles an hour. Wow. The wind is nice and clean. I mean, there's no again, like I said, it's a naked bike. There's no wind screen at all on here. But the wind's, it's what you would expect from a naked dual sport bike, where there's it's just clean wind hitting you. It's not dirty. There's no it's not kind of catching you in any particular spot. I feel it on my shoulders, feel it on my chest, feel it on my helmet, but no big deal. Let's take a little turn here with some speed, and let's see if we feel any instability there. It feels nice and comfortable there. Now again, also probably need to check, see what the dealer said the tire pressure at. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't checked the tire pressure. That might have something to do with it. All right, so we're getting off the interstate here, off on Arrowwood Road. We're headed to my office, and like I said, that gosh, you just kind of look at it. You just kind of twist those handlebars, and that front end just feels like it wants to snap in half. Let's take this turn here. Let's see how this feels. Low to moderate speed, that feels fine. I can definitely feel that engine loosening up now. But that interstate riding, that was concerning. I mean, that was a sketchy and nervous front end. I mean, I can imagine you hit a pothole going down the road, going 75 miles an hour. That front end's going to tank slap, and it's with the amount of turn lock this thing has, it's probably going to throw you off the bike. So I need to do some research on that and see if that's a common thing. I also need to figure out the gas gauge, which is still reading 0. Again, it might be a software issue. I don't know. We're going to take it back up there for the 500 mile service. So let's take this curve here. Let's see how this does here. All right, so it's definitely flashing at me, and at above 6,500, it was flashing saying, "Hey, we're still in break-in. Hey, you might want to take it easy." So, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it. That's going to do it for our commute to work on our 2025 KTM 390 Adventure. No, excuse me. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up. That's going to do our commute to work on our 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R. Again, KTM calls it Enduro bike. I think it's more of a dual sport, but whatever. It's their moniker. Old fellow rider there. So guys, if you see anything that you like, give me the thumbs up. Comment on the video. Comment if you notice anything with the front end being light. I mean, that is a very light front end. Almost concerning how light that front end is. Comment on the video. Ultimate compliment is to subscribe to the channel. So thank you guys. God bless. Roll Tide. Football season's coming up. Roll Tide. And remember, tomorrow needs you. See you guys.